The moment that changed everything happened on a Wednesday afternoon in March, when my courtroom doors opened and in walked someone who'd spent the past 2 years destroying his own legacy with hate speech, conspiracy theories, and increasingly unhinged behavior. Kanye West, 47 years old, hip-hop legend, fashion mogul, former billionaire. A man who'd once been worth $6.6 billion before losing nearly everything to anti-Semitic rants that cost him his Adidas deal, his banking relationships, and most of his business empire. But he still had $400 million, still had millions of followers who treated him like a prophet, and still believed his genius exempted him from consequences. He walked in wearing a black military-style outfit he'd designed himself, a cross necklace the size of a dinner plate, custom Yeezy boots, and dark sunglasses he refused to remove. Behind him came 7 people, 3 attorneys from a firm that specialized in First Amendment cases and representing controversial clients, 2 members of his security team, a videographer filming for his documentary about being persecuted for speaking truth, and Nick Fuentes, the white nationalist commentator who'd become Kanye's close associate. But see, the charges were aggravated assault, battery, hate crime enhancement, destruction of property, and criminal threatening. According to police reports and store security footage, Kanye had entered the Cartier boutique, demanding to see their most expensive pieces, claiming he wanted to design a collaboration with them. David, doing his job, had politely explained that corporate partnerships required going through Cartier's Paris headquarters, not individual stores. Kanye had become agitated, starting to rant about Jewish people controlling the luxury industry, about how they'd destroyed his career, about how they ran the banks and the media and were trying to silence him. When David tried to de-escalate and offered to show Kanye some pieces anyway, Kanye had exploded. He'd called David a Jewish puppet working for a Jewish conspiracy. He'd grabbed a jewelry case and thrown it at David's head, cutting him badly. He'd screamed that Hitler was right about Jewish people, that they deserved what happened to them, that the Holocaust was exaggerated propaganda. Then he'd destroyed thousands of dollars worth of displays before security could restrain him.
Store cameras captured everything. Police arrested Kanye outside, where he was still ranting to his videographer about Jewish supremacy. And now he stood in my courtroom, a 47-year-old man who'd claimed mental illness as an excuse while continuing to spread hate, who'd lost billions but learned nothing, who'd surrounded himself with white nationalists and anti-Semites while claiming he was the victim. He clearly believed his remaining wealth, his celebrity status, his claim of being persecuted for truth-telling would make this disappear. What I did in the next 38 minutes didn't just shock the courtroom. It created international headlines, reignited debates about mental health versus accountability, forced a reckoning about celebrity anti-Semitism, and proved that in America, when the system works correctly, no amount of fame, no claim of genius, no victim narrative about being canceled places anyone above the law when they commit hate crimes. If you believe that mental illness doesn't excuse hate speech turned violent, that losing business deals isn't persecution when you're spreading Nazi propaganda, that judges must defend victims of hate crimes even when facing celebrities with cult followings, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to do will show you that even Kanye West faces consequences. Mr. West, I began, and immediately noticed he wasn't looking at me. He was staring at the ceiling, his head tilted back, sunglasses still on, as if he were receiving divine inspiration. Mr. West, remove your sunglasses and pay attention. You're in a court of law. He slowly lowered his head, made a show of taking off his sunglasses with one hand, and stared at me with that intense, unblinking gaze he'd perfected. When he spoke, his voice had that messianic quality he'd developed, like every word was profound revelation. Your Honor, before we begin, I need you to understand something. I'm not just here for me. I'm here representing everyone who's been silenced for speaking truth. The Jewish media has tried to destroy me. The Jewish banks have tried to bankrupt me. The Jewish entertainment industry has tried to erase me. And now the Jewish legal system is trying to imprison me. But I won't be silenced. I'm a voice for the voiceless. Mr. West, you're not here to make speeches. You're here because you're charged with aggravated assault, battery, hate crime enhancement, destruction of property, and criminal threatening. How do you plead? His lead attorney, Marcus Stone, stood quickly. Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty by reason of mental illness. Mr. West has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He's been public about his struggles with mental health. The incident at Cartier occurred during a manic episode. My client was not in control of his actions and should not be held criminally responsible. Mr. Stone, your client has been using his mental illness as an excuse for 2 years while continuing to spread anti-Semitic propaganda, while appearing on podcasts with white nationalists, while making calculated business decisions. He's clearly competent enough to run businesses and make public appearances. He's competent enough to stand trial. Your Honor, bipolar disorder causes periods of diminished capacity. During manic episodes, individuals may say and do things completely out of character. This is a medical condition, not a criminal matter. Counselor, your client walked into a store, had a coherent conversation, made accusations, threw objects with enough aim to hit someone, and articulated complex conspiracy theories. That's not diminished capacity. That's hate speech turned violent. I turned to Kanye. Mr. West, how do you plead? He stood slowly, spreading his arms wide like he was on stage. Not guilty. Obviously. This whole thing is a setup. David Goldstein, the man I allegedly assaulted, he's part of it. He probably called the ADL before I even walked in. Probably had cameras set up. This was a trap to silence me because I've been exposing the truth about Jewish power in America. Mr. West, you're claiming Mr. Goldstein set you up? Your Honor, everyone knows the Jewish community has been trying to destroy me since I started speaking truth. I lost $2 billion because I said Jewish people control the media. That's not anti-Semitism, that's facts. And now they want to put me in prison so I can't speak anymore. Mr. West, you lost business deals because you praised Hitler and made Holocaust denial statements. Companies don't want to be associated with Nazi rhetoric. His face hardened. See? That's the problem right there. You can't even say certain things without being called a Nazi. I didn't praise Hitler. I said he did some good things too. That's just historical fact. Every leader does some good and some bad. But Jewish people have made Hitler into this untouchable topic so they can control the narrative. Mr. West, sit down. He sat, but kept talking. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Jewish supremacy. You can't even have a conversation without. Mr. West, stop talking. He finally went quiet, but his jaw was set in defiance. Ms. Park, please present the evidence. Assistant District Attorney Rachel Park approached with a tablet. Your Honor, we have complete security footage from Cartier, audio recordings, and witness statements from 6 employees who were present. May I play them? I nodded. The lights dimmed. The first segment showed the Cartier boutique, elegant and quiet, a few customers browsing. Kanye entered with his security team and videographer. David Goldstein approached professionally, smiling. The audio was crystal clear. David's voice, warm and welcoming. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Cartier. How may I assist you today? Kanye's voice, already agitated. Yeah, I'm Kanye West. I want to see your best pieces. I'm thinking about doing a collaboration with Cartier. Jewish brands need to work with black excellence to stay relevant. David's voice, still professional. Of course, Mr. West. I'm familiar with your work. However, for corporate collaborations, you'd need to go through our Paris headquarters. I can provide you with that contact information. But I'm happy to show you our current collection. Kanye's voice, getting louder. Paris headquarters? More Jewish gatekeepers. That's how you people work. Control everything from the top. Make it impossible for independent thinkers to break through. David's voice, slightly uncomfortable now. Sir, I'm just explaining our corporate structure. Would you like to see some pieces? Kanye's voice. You're Jewish, right? David's voice, hesitant. I'm sorry? Kanye's voice. You're Jewish. I can tell. You have that look. You work for a French luxury brand, which is controlled by Jewish families. You're a puppet for Jewish supremacy. David's voice, firmer now. Sir, that's inappropriate. I'm going to have to ask you to either conduct your business professionally or leave. Kanye's voice, aggressive now. Inappropriate? Stating facts as inappropriate? This is what I'm talking about. You people can't handle truth. You've been running this game for centuries. Banking, media, entertainment, luxury goods, all controlled by Jewish families. And when someone calls it out, you call them anti-Semitic. David's voice. Sir, I'm the manager here. I'm asking you to leave. Kanye moved closer, invading David's space. The camera showed David stepping back, clearly trying to maintain distance. Kanye's voice. You're kicking me out? Kanye West? Because I stated facts about Jewish power? You know what? You're proving my point. You can't handle criticism. Your people have been doing this for thousands of years. Control the money, control the narrative, and destroy anyone who speaks against you. David's voice, calling toward the back. Security, please. Kanye's voice, yelling now. You're calling security on me? For what? For speaking truth? This is what Jewish supremacy looks like. You silence anyone who questions your power. David's voice, calm but firm. Sir, you're being asked to leave. This is private property. That's when Kanye grabbed a jewelry display case from the counter. The camera showed it clearly. He lifted it above his head and threw it at David. The heavy case struck David in the forehead. David stumbled backward, blood immediately flowing from a deep cut. Kanye's voice, screaming. That's what happens when you try to silence truth. Hitler was right about you people. You're parasites. You're leeches. The Holocaust should have finished the job. Store security rushed in, but Kanye was in a full rage now. He swept his arm across another display, sending watches and jewelry crashing to the floor. He kicked over a chair. He was still screaming. Kanye's voice. You think you can destroy me? I'm Ye. I'm a god. I built $1 billion empire. And you Jewish rats tried to take it from me. But I'll rebuild. And when I do, everyone will know what you are. Security restrained him. David was on the floor, other employees helping him, blood soaking through the cloth someone had pressed to his head. Kanye was still yelling as they forced him toward the exit. Kanye's voice. Film this. Get all of this. The world needs to see Jewish aggression. They attacked me. I'm the victim here. This is a hate crime against me. The second segment showed police arriving. Kanye initially refused to comply, claiming diplomatic immunity as a cultural ambassador. When officers tried to handcuff him, he screamed that this was a Jewish conspiracy, that the LAPD was controlled by Jewish interests, that he was being persecuted like Jesus was persecuted by Jews. When the lights came back on, the courtroom was silent. Several people looked physically sick. I looked at Kanye, whose face showed no remorse, just that same defiant certainty that he was right and everyone else was part of the conspiracy. Mr. West, you just watched yourself commit a hate crime. You called a Jewish man a parasite, invoked Hitler, referenced the Holocaust, and committed violence. Do you still maintain your innocence? Marcus Stone stood immediately. Your Honor, my client's statements, while offensive to some, are protected speech under the First Amendment. He has the right to express controversial opinions. The physical altercation was a result of a manic episode. Counselor, your client didn't express opinions. He committed violence while yelling Nazi propaganda. That's a hate crime. The First Amendment doesn't protect assault. Your Honor, we have Dr. Stephen Martinez, a psychiatrist, prepared to testify that bipolar disorder can cause aggressive outbursts and delusional thinking. My client believes there's a conspiracy against him. That's a symptom of his illness, not criminal intent. Mr. West, are you currently taking medication for bipolar disorder? Kanye stood. No. Medication suppresses my genius. When I take pills, I can't create. I can't think clearly. They want me medicated so I'll be quiet. But I refuse to be silenced. So you're choosing not to take medication? I'm choosing to be free. Medication is how they control you. Big Pharma is run by Jewish families. They want everyone docile and obedient. Mr. West, you can't claim mental illness as a defense while simultaneously refusing treatment. That's the trap, Your Honor. They diagnose you with mental illness when you speak truth, then they say you need medication to be sane. But the medication makes you forget the truth. It's a control mechanism. Mr. Goldstein, please approach. David Goldstein stood and walked forward. Up close, I could see the bandage on his forehead, the stitches visible at the edges. He moved with the careful dignity of someone who'd survived worse in his family's history and refused to be broken by this. Mr. Goldstein, tell me about your family. He spoke with a slight accent, European undertones from growing up with survivor parents. Your Honor, my father, Jakob Goldstein, was 14 years old when the Nazis came to his village in Poland. They shot his parents in front of him. They sent him to Auschwitz. He survived 3 years there. Saw horrors no child should see. Lost his entire family. When he was liberated, he weighed 70 pounds. He was 17 years old. He came to America in 1949. Built a life from nothing. Worked in a grocery store, saved every penny, eventually opened his own business. He married my mother, also a survivor. They had 3 children. I'm the youngest. They raised us with love despite their trauma. They taught us to work hard, to treat everyone with dignity, to never let hate win. His voice cracked. My father died 5 years ago. He was 92. His last words to me were about hope. He said, "David, I survived the darkest evil humanity can create. I chose to build a life of light. You do the same." Tears filled his eyes. And then 3 weeks ago, Kanye West, a man my daughter used to listen to, a man whose music my grandchildren loved, walked into my store and told me the Holocaust should have finished the job. He said my people are parasites. He threw a case at my head while screaming Nazi propaganda. And I thought of my father. I thought of what he survived. And I realized hate isn't dead. It just changes faces. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Several people were crying. I looked at Kanye, who was staring at David with that same cold expression, unmoved by the testimony. "Mr. Goldstein, how has this affected you?" "Your Honor, I've worked at Cartier for 23 years. I love my job. I've served people from every background with equal respect. I've never had a problem until this. Now I'm afraid. My wife wants me to retire early. My daughter is terrified. My grandchildren ask me why that man hates us. How do I explain anti-Semitism to a 7-year-old? But worse is seeing young people online defending him. Saying he's speaking truth. Saying Jewish people do control everything. Saying Hitler had some good ideas. I'm watching a new generation be radicalized by the same hate that killed my family. And nobody seems to care because he's famous." He looked at Kanye directly. "Mr. West, I don't hate you. I pity you. You're a brilliant artist who's destroying himself with hate. But you're also destroying others. Young people listen to you. When you say Jews are parasites, when you praise Hitler, when you spread Nazi propaganda, you're planting seeds of violence. And someday, someone inspired by your words will hurt someone. Maybe kill someone. And you'll say it wasn't your fault. But it will be." Kanye stood up suddenly. "That's exactly what I'm talking about. Jewish guilt manipulation. Making me responsible for hypothetical future violence. I'm just speaking truth and you're trying to silence me by invoking the Holocaust. Mr. West, sit down." "No, I won't be silenced. This man works for a company that—" "Mr. West, sit down now or I'll have you removed." He sat, but continued muttering about oppression and conspiracy. "Mr. West, you heard Mr. Goldstein's testimony. His father survived Auschwitz. His family was murdered by Nazis. And you told him the Holocaust should have finished the job. What do you have to say?" Marcus Stone stood. "Your Honor, my client was in a manic state." "He wasn't." "Mr. Stone, I'm asking your client." Kanye stood. "Look, Your Honor, I don't hate Jewish people. I'm just telling the truth about power structures. If that offends people, that's their problem. I'm a truth teller. I'm a prophet. And prophets are always persecuted by the establishment they expose. Mr. West, you're not a prophet. You're a man who committed a hate crime. Stand up." He stood, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of actual concern cross his face. "Mr. West, you're 47 years old. You're one of the most influential artists of your generation. You have millions of followers who hang on your every word. And you've spent 2 years spreading Nazi propaganda, praising Hitler, and promoting anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Today you committed violence against a Jewish man while screaming that the Holocaust should have finished the job. Here is my finding. You are guilty of aggravated assault. The video evidence is irrefutable. You threw a heavy object at David Goldstein's head, causing injury. You are guilty of battery. You are guilty of destruction of property. You are guilty of criminal threatening. And you are guilty of committing these crimes with hate crime enhancement because they were motivated by anti-Semitism. His face went pale. "Your Honor, I have bipolar disorder." "Mr. West, you refuse treatment. You can't claim illness as a defense while rejecting medicine. Here is your sentence. For aggravated assault with hate crime enhancement, 3 years in state prison. For battery, 1 year consecutive. For criminal threatening, 1 year consecutive. For destruction of property, 6 months. Total of 5.5 years in custody." The courtroom erupted. His attorneys were shouting. Nick Fuentes was recording everything. Kanye himself looked genuinely shocked. Marcus Stone was screaming, "Your Honor, 5.5 years for a first violent offense? This is outrageous. This is political. You're punishing my client for his protected speech. Counselor, I'm punishing your client for committing a hate crime. Additionally, I'm ordering Mr. West to pay $2 million in restitution to David Goldstein. This includes medical expenses, pain and suffering, and a substantial amount because your client has the resources and because hate crimes deserve serious financial consequences. I'm also ordering Mr. West to complete 500 hours of Holocaust education when released, including visiting the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum and participating in testimony sessions with survivors. Kanye found his voice. You can't force me to take Holocaust education. That's brainwashing. That's thought control. Mr. West, it's education. Something you desperately need, and I'm issuing a court order prohibiting you from discussing Mr. Goldstein, this case, or using your hate crime for content on any platform. This is unconstitutional. This is censorship. I have a First Amendment right. Mr. West, you have no right to profit from your hate crime. Bailiff, take him into custody. Officers moved forward. Kanye pulled away. You're making me a martyr. This proves everything I've been saying. Jewish control of the courts. Jewish supremacy. The world will see this. As they handcuffed him, he was still talking to his videographer. Film everything. This is persecution. This is what happens when you speak truth to Jewish power. I'll be like Malcolm X. I'll be like Martin Luther King. Imprisoned for telling truth. David Goldstein stood. Mr. West, Malcolm X and Dr. King fought for equality and justice. You're spreading hate and violence. That's not the same thing. Kanye looked at him, and for just a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Maybe doubt, maybe shame. Then it was gone. The doors closed. Within an hour, it was global news. The internet exploded. His remaining supporters claimed persecution. But Jewish organizations praised the sentence. Mental health advocates were divided. Artists condemned him. Others defended him. 3 months later, the California Court of Appeals upheld my sentence. Their opinion stated, mental illness does not exempt individuals from criminal responsibility when they refuse treatment. Hate crimes targeting victims based on their ethnicity or religion warrant enhanced penalties. Mr. West's platform and influence make his anti-Semitic violence particularly dangerous. Kanye West is currently serving his sentence at California State Prison. David Goldstein received his restitution and continues working at Cartier. He started speaking at schools about anti-Semitism and the importance of standing against hate. If this story moved you, subscribe. Share it with anyone who needs to understand that mental illness isn't a free pass for hate crimes, that genius doesn't excuse Nazi propaganda, that celebrity doesn't place you above the law. Kanye West used his fame and his victim narrative in my courtroom. I gave him 5.5 years and proved that in America, no one is above accountability for hate.